Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
The energy revealed. Brooklyn to Queens, reppin' both hoods. Rob and CP, keep it fire misunderstood. Cheer 'em all loud, let the anthem flow. Mets fans unite at the pregame show. From city stand lights to the skyline greens, it's the heartbeat of Queens, the craziest dreams. Rob hype on the mic, CP's the fire spark. Together they ignite, voices like the park. Fans drift in jerseys, legacy bold. The Metropolitan story forever told. Turnstile spinning, the crowd floods the gates. This is family, no time for debates. Crack of the Batman, the roar never fades. Queens in the blood, it's how champions are made. Cheer 'em all loud, let the anthem flow. Mets fans unite at the pregame show. From city stand lights to the skyline gleams, it's the heartbeat of Queens, the craziest dreams. 7-line swagger, vibes electric and wild. Mets legacy golden since I was a child. Orange crushed skies, let the battle ignite. Ride for the home team till the last fight.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the Amazing Mets PreGame Show right here on the channel and on X. And again, I come to you on a pregame show where the New York Mets find so many different ways to lose, and it's not even funny. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back to the show. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. And why I got frustrated when I talked about the deadline for the New York Mets was always my concern of bullpen arms are fickle. Bullpen arms can be good at one moment and bad another. It is one of the most volatile part of a roster. And to continue to act like trades are good just based on pure numbers is idiotic. And that's why when I have conversations and when I argue with people about don't just look at the numbers of the guy you could potentially get in a trade, because it does not matter. You were getting a guy in Ryan Helsley who was a closer for his entire career, basically, and with the St. Louis Cardinals. When you get him and you know that he's not going to be your closer because you got Edwin Diaz, he is going to be a high leverage guy in the 7th, 8th inning, and the occasional 9th inning when it's a tie game, if Edwin Diaz is available or not, or you want to save him for a closing opportunity. This is the problem that you always kind of run into. Now, Tyler Rogers have been pretty good, and Gregory Soto has been pretty good. So those additions were fine. But when you see the Phillies, who needed a closer, get Joan Durant, that's a good move. Getting a closer, like we all know Edwin Diaz can't pitch the 7th and 8th inning when he doesn't know he's going to pitch the 9th inning, right? If you know he's going to pitch 2 innings and you put him out in the 8th, he has a little bit more of a better mindset. Does anybody believe that Edwin Diaz can pitch the 7th and 8th inning on a almost everyday basis? No, of course not. So there was too many people that were talking about, oh, the offense should have scored more runs, this and that. We're allowed to win games that are close. We're allowed to win a low-scoring game. When has the pitchers, from starters to bullpen, held leads in this last month of terrible baseball? And I want to bring up something really quick before anybody continues to talk about the offense. They scored 19 runs in the first 2 games. It's okay to score 3 runs and win 3-2. They're allowed to do that. That's what they did in all April and May. It's not like the Mets were scoring 9 runs a ball game and they were winning 9-2. A lot of the games they won in April and May, they were winning either a low scoring or a close game. They won a lot of 1-2 run victories, 2-run games. They won a lot of those. That hasn't been the same since June with this pitching staff, starters or bullpen. So I want to bring up something really quick. So listen to these scores: 1-0, 3-3, 5-1, 3-2, 5-0, 4-3, 2-0, 2-0, 5-5, and 6-0. That is a 10-game stretch where the Mets either were tied in the ball game or they had a lead. And yes, some games were in the 3rd inning, some games were in the 7th inning. But at some point in the game, the offense did give them lead. At some point, your pitching has to hold that lead. Your offense is not going to score 6+ runs every night. It's not happening. Nobody does that. Check around the league, right? When the Phillies lost 3 in a row, did you see them score a lot of runs in that series? No. In the last 3 games, no. They got shut out the other night. They got their ass kicked. So you can't expect to score 6+ runs every single game. You got to win the 3-2 games. And it's so frustrating because Senga actually had a good start. He actually showed like he could be a major league pitcher. He was working his other pitches. Remember when I talked about yesterday in the pregame in regards to his fork ball, his ghost fork pitch? Players, the batters weren't swinging at it as much. Well, guess what he did? He incorporated that curveball more. He even used the changeup that he really uses a little bit more. So it messed up the mindset of the batters who were expecting mostly fastballs and ghost fork. He did that, and that was nice to see. And he didn't walk it. He walked well, he did walk 2 at the end of the game in the 6th inning, in his end of his start. But and there were some people that were saying, why didn't you leave him in there when it was 1st and 3rd? Well, the reason for that is because it's an obvious sign when a guy has been spot on and located and hasn't walked anybody up until that point. And then in that inning, in that 6th inning, he walked 2 guys. You can't leave him in that game, especially in a situation where he finally had a good start. If he gives up a base hit in that spot or continues to fail, now it looks like a bad start. So I don't blame Mendoza for doing that. Now eventually he got out of the inning anyway, but for when he brought in the reliever, but still, he pitched a nice game. And on top of that, in that inning, I think it was the 6th inning, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, I was at work when this game was going on. Yes, it was the 6th inning where that 1 run came in and the Braves took the lead 2-1. Okay, no problem. But in the bottom half of the inning, and this is late in the game now, you're in the 6th inning. You got 2 runs to take the lead to 3-2. You got to hold that lead. It's not always up to the offense to go on a crazy run and score 6 more runs. Like, would you like that? Sure. But we all know how baseball works. You scored 19 runs in the first 2 games, and you lost one of those games. And oh, by the way, you were up 6-0 in one of them. That can't happen. This should have been a sweep of the Braves. You can't be up 6-0 and lose that goddamn game. And on top of that, your offense, who, okay, they weren't great. But again, you're not going to score 6+ runs every game. You're just not going to do that. You got to win low-scoring games. And when your offense gives you a lead in the 6th inning, right after the Braves took the lead in the top of the 6th, you come in the bottom of the 6th and you score 2 runs, and you're winning 3-2. Your bullpen's got to hold it. And everybody can say, oh, why'd you bring in Helsley? You know why? Because David Stearns brought him in. He is a high-leverage reliever. That's why. Now, if that's going to change, depending on, maybe Gregory Soto gets more of a look more in the later innings, and Helsley is more of a 6th inning guy now, where Soto is at the moment. Maybe it's Tyler Rogers and Soto with Garrett. But even with Garrett, he gave up a grand slam when he came in game 2. Like, we can't just blame. Like, this is supposed to be the bullpen that was revamped. This was David Stearns' baby at the deadline. Right now, I'm not going to say it's failed, because that's not fair, because Gregory Soto's been good and Tyler Rogers has been good. But the biggest acquisition of the deadline was Ryan Helsley, and he's been bad. And again, am I blaming Ryan Helsley? Sure, of course I am. I'm going to blame the player. But we know how closers are. When you take them out of the closer spot and you put them in other innings, even if they're high leverage innings, it's not the 9th inning. We see this all the time. This is why I would have rather went elsewhere and get another solid reliever that is a high leverage guy that can pitch the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning. because it's very risky throwing a closer in situations that are non-closing situations and parts of the game because they struggle. Now, Ryan Helsley, the problem with Ryan Helsley, and if you notice if you look at his numbers, his whip with St. Louis was like a 1.34. That is not good because that means he puts a lot of people on base. And it takes one hiccup, one mistake to drive those runs in. So he always puts people on base. He's just been very good stranding them. But we all know how that works in baseball. Eventually, the dam is going to break. The water is going to get through. It happens all the time. And then you put on top of that he puts a lot of people on base. It is not a closing situation that Ryan Helsley is in. It's in the 7th. It's in the 6th. It's in the 8th. And this is the problem that we fall into. So once again, you got David Stearns, which his biggest acquisition at the trade deadline was Ryan Helsley, and it's been an utter disaster. So once again, David Stearns has failed the New York Mets. Not only does he not get a starting pitcher at the deadline, he doesn't do it in the offseason. We're still struggling to figure out what this rotation is. Nice to see Senga wake the hell up. It would be nice if Manaea follows suit and pitches as good, if not better, than Kodai Senga did yesterday. That would be nice. But look who we're facing today. We're facing the Seattle Mariners, who were basically hovering for, fighting for a playoff spot. And now they're right there in their AL West. This is a team that is offensively damn good. So, yeah, the offense better score. But at the same time, we're facing a Seattle Mariners team that finally got their offense together, that has been offensively challenged for a while they had a really good pitching staff. And now their offense has really clicked. We know about Cal Raleigh and the home run leader. But they have J-Rod. They got a Rosarena. They got Suarez. They got Garva, Canzone. These guys are good. Crawford. These guys are good. This is a good offense. And you can put on top of that the pitching. And again, once again, we're going to see it again. Look at the team. Look at the guys we're facing. We're facing Castillo today. Oh, how many people said they didn't want Castillo when the Mariners were willing to trade him? How many people didn't want him? Oh, look at his numbers. Well, look at his numbers now. Right? Let's look at his numbers. Why not? He has a 3.19 ERA, right? He's getting older, but he's damn good. You see what happens when you don't have an ace? You don't got to worry about this shit, right? You got Kirby in this game. You got Wu in this series. You got Kirby, Wu, and Castillo in this series. Every one of those pitchers are better than everything we have in a rotation. So, David Stearns and your philosophy, you get a golf clap because it's embarrassing. Because now we're going to rely on Noah McLean, and then at some point we're probably going to worry about giving an opportunity to Brandon Sproat, and then they're going to tell you they're the saviors, and they're the future of this organization, and blah, blah, blah. And then we're going to find out that they're actually not. And maybe they are good. But the problem lies is that we got guys on the contract. We have Montez on the contract. We have Holmes, Manaea, Senga, Peterson. It's already 5 guys. Where are all these kids pitching? Like, are all these guys, are they DFA and Montez? Are they trading somebody? Because I don't see where these guys are all going to fit into this rotation. Does anybody think about that when they talk about these young kids, these young pitchers? Look at the lineup. Look at the rotation. We got Manaea, Senga, Peterson, Holmes, Montez. Those are 5 guys right there. That's the rotation. They're all on the contract for next year. So where are all these kids pitching? Right? Nobody's talking about that. What are we gonna do? We're gonna DFA Montez? Okay, I don't care. That's fine. It ain't my money. Right? You want to trade David Peterson? I don't think so. Clay Holmes. The Mets are dead fast, and we all know David Stearns is not going to show another fault in his decision of taking Clay Holmes from a bullpen arm to a starter. He ain't going to jump off that boat yet. So you know Clay Holmes is going to be in the rotation next year. Even though the Mets have a lot of free agents that are in the bullpen. So next year, we don't even know if we have a bullpen. Edwin Diaz might opt out. We have no bullpen under contract next year. Who do we have? Reed Garrett? Brazaben? Oh, great. Like, we got to start over with the bullpen because every one of these guys we're talking about, Rogers, Soto, Helsley, they're all free agents. So now we got to worry about the bullpen that is going to be up in the air again. What the hell is going on? Now, I'm not necessarily concerned because I don't think bullpens, you can just run it back with bullpens because, again, bullpens are fickle. They're volatile. One year they could be the best bullpen in baseball. The next year it could be one of the worst. So I'm not too concerned about that, but that's another thing that Stearns has to worry about in the offseason. On top of that, we have 5 starters. So where are these kids pitching? Unless you're going to make trades and you're going to be a little uncomfortable here and you DFA Montage, which a lot of people would like, but do you really think that's going to happen? Yeah, I don't think so. Right? So where are these kids pitching? Even if you go to a 6-man rotation, that leaves one spot. For who? So what do you do with Tong? What do you do with Sproat? Or what do you do with whoever makes the 6th man in the rotation? Let's say it's Noah McLean because he starts tomorrow. You got Tong and you got Sproat. Where are these guys pitching? What are you going to throw them in the bullpen? Well, Brad, I agree with you. I agree with you that David Stearns did his job, right? You can't predict who is going to perform, right? But let's be honest. He needs to know this because we know this. When you get a closer who is not going to be your closer and you're going to pitch him in other innings, that's a risk. We all know that, right? There's a reason why Gregory Soto and Tyler Rogers have been good because they're pitching basically where they've pitched with other teams. I know Gregory Soto was a closer and, Rogers has closed games and stuff like that. But mostly, even this year, they've pitched in the 7th, the 8th, the 6th, all over the place. So they've done it. Helsley hasn't. He's been their closer for the Cardinals. Like, that's a risk within itself. There was other good bullpen arms out there that pitch high leverage innings that is not the 9th that you could have got. And again, nobody was complaining about getting Ryan Helsley. I'm going to be the first one to tell you. I was happy about that trade. But there was a risk involved. So, but again, I'm not blaming Stearns because those guys are not performing. I'm blaming the player. I'm blaming Ryan Helsley. He's got to get it done. Like, you got to figure it out because you're going to continue to pitch in those innings. There ain't nowhere else to go. So it's on Helsley. But we all know bullpen additions are a risk. They always are. Especially when you get them in the middle of a season. They might work out like Tyler Clippert. They might work out like Rogers, like Soto. But again, when you constantly change a bullpen and Mendoza from the trade deadline has to figure out their lane, so to speak, in these games, he's doing it on the fly, especially when guys are not performing well. Like, can you really use Helsley in the 8th inning right now? It's probably going to be Rogers. But again, how many? Reed Garrett gave him a grand slam the other day. You can't bury him in the bullpen. Like, that's the problem. And yeah, the record is wrong. Yes, I know that typo. I know. I was waiting for somebody to say it. Right? I was coming home from work and I was trying to finish it up quickly, and I messed up the Seattle Mariners record, unfortunately, because they deserve a lot more credit than I just gave them. But it was a mistake. I promise. I wasn't trying to be a jerk. I promise that. So you can call me out on it. I was just trying to finish up to get it up ready to go for you guys. But again, that's all right. We know the Mariners are good, right? We know the Mariners are good. Scratch that. Yes, that was a typo. I was trying to finish up the background before I came on, and it was kind of quick. Yeah, well, my whole league, they're not that bad. And you know what? When you have a rotation like the Mariners have, you're going to be in it. You're going to have a chance to make the playoffs. Now, we knew the Seattle Mariners' problem for years, over the last like 3-4 years, has been they didn't have enough offense. Well, they got it now. They're a dangerous team. That's a team I don't want to face in the playoffs. Like, obviously, they're in the American League, but if you're a team that is making the playoffs in the American League or potential playoffs, you don't want to face the Mariners because in a short series, that pitching is going to play. Now, unfortunately, the Mariners have been missing the playoffs, so it's hard for the pitching to really show what it's worth in short series. In the playoffs, we know how that works. So that's the problem. And that's what I worry about. Because, again, the Mariners are playing good. They're fighting for a division now. And you know what's even worse instead of any of this stuff? The fact that the Phillies have lost 3 in a row and the Mets could have gained 2 games on them. And we might have been 3 games out of a division, right back in the mix. And we still end up being 5 games because the Mets can't get out of their own goddamn way. Shit. Yeah, I don't know what Yankee fans are trolling about. Like, they're on the verge of doing what the Mets are doing, missing the playoffs. Like, we're in the same exact spot in the wild card. We're both third wild card teams. And the Yankees are further from the division than we are by, like, I think a game and a half. They're like 6.5 out, and we're 5 out. Like, the Yankees and the Mets, we have the same record. We're both 8 games over 500. That's crazy. And it's even worse for the Yankees because they had, what, a 7-game lead on the Blue Jays at one point? Like, that's a 14-game difference considering where they are now. And again, yes, the Mets were 5 games up, and that's a 10-game difference. But we're in the exact same spot. So to troll, what are they trolling? Like, the Yankees probably would have been better with Soto. And maybe the Mets would have been better without Soto. Who knows? Right? We can't figure that one out because we can't do it. We can't have it happen. So where we are right now as a fan base is that we're not – well, you know what's funny? The start of this series against the Braves was so uplifting that everybody got excited because it was like, wow, okay, here we go. And even game 2, early on, you scored 6 runs. You beat up on Carrasco. Most Met fans thought that game was in the bag, 6-0. As bad as the Mets have been, we just couldn't see it couldn't see us losing because we just scored 13 runs the day before. We looked good. The offense picked it right up in game 2. And then you gave 9 unanswered runs. And then eventually losing 11-6. Like, this is what is why Met fans are always a pessimistic fan base. Because we're waiting for the other shoe to drop. This is our life as Met fans. We don't get a lot of good things. When we do, we got to grasp onto it really hard. That's why we loved the team last year. That is why people think that Jose Iglesias would have made the difference, which it wouldn't. Let's be honest, it wouldn't. Because Lindor's not having a year like he had last year. Nimmo is not having a year like he had last year. A lot of guys aren't having a year like they had last year. Vientos. And, you add Juan Soto to the mix, who's been better, who he replaced, because he replaced basically Marte's numbers. So it's better, but we don't feel like we're as good. So that's the issue. And we've done this for a long time, how we felt. And again, until they change the narrative, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be the same old Mets. That narrative has to change. And again, that sustainability, sustained success nonsense that David Stearns always brings up in every interview pisses me off every fucking time. Because how about worrying about this year? I don't care about 2026. Let me worry about that in the offseason. I'm sick and tired of GMs and executives continue to talk about the future. Like, I know that's your job, but shut the fuck up. Say that behind closed doors. Say that with your other executives. Don't tell the fan who is spending money, who is living their lives watching this game every day for 162 games, and you're going to tell me about sustained success about 2026 and beyond? I don't give a shit. You know what I care about? Turning on the TV at 7 o'clock and who the Mets are playing that day. The problem is, I don't think Stearns cares enough about this year. I don't think he concerns himself with the year in hand. He says, I put this team together, they got to do it. And which is true. But we know this team had flaws from day one in Houston. And you didn't do enough. So that is on you, David Stearns. So he thinks this bringing up the kids again. This is another propaganda perfection by David Stearns. Right away, Noah McLean starting on Saturday. It's going to get Met fans excited, and it should. But if you think he's going to be a savior, if other guys don't do their job in this rotation, you're an idiot. Because he's not going to be a savior, right? It's not a position player where you need offense and the guy can start hitting for you. There's a guy that pitches once a week. And who knows what type of restrictions we have. We will see what type of restrictions he has tomorrow. Because it's gonna be fun. And by the way, guys, I am doing a watch party tomorrow just so we can watch what the Mets plan for Noah McLean is. So tomorrow, 4:00, we're gonna go live during the game. So make sure you tune in, hang out on the Saturday. It's a 4:00 game. So we're gonna see. And I can't wait because I really want to see their plan because it's going to be very obvious very quickly. Because if he pitches well, I still think there's restrictions. I think he's not going to go more than 5 innings. I think it's more about pitch count, but they got to be careful with his innings because, again, if he pitches a certain amount of innings the rest of this year in the major leagues, I think he still loses. There's like some like clause in the CBA where you can lose that eligibility for that extra year. So I think it's like 60 innings, and it doesn't. I don't think it matters in the playoffs, but it matters during the season. So we'll see. But that's if he pitches well. Like we just assume he's going to pitch well. Like throw the minor league numbers out the window. Those don't matter anymore, right? When he's in that bullpen, warming up for tomorrow's game, the minor league numbers mean shit. They're going to show you highlights. They're going to show you the stats. They're going to get you excited from SNY. And then he's on the mound. And then he's wearing the New York Mets jersey, not the Syracuse Mets, not the Binghamton Rumble Ponies jersey. He's wearing a New York Mets uniform. And with that uniform comes a lot of doubt amongst the fan base and pessimism. That is what you fall into when you put on that jersey. You got to upend that pessimism and that doubt. There's a lot of pressure on this kid because he knows he ain't stupid. If you heard him talk yesterday, he knows how much pressure is on him. He knows this rotation is struggling. He knows they need pitching. He knows the pressure is on him. Now, the Mets are going to tell you there's no pressure on him. David Stearns is going to tell you in his little hotel room in Japan. There's no pressure on him. Of course there is. He's pitching in New York, number one. The Mets are basically collapsing in front of our eyes. The rotation has been shit. And now Noah McLean's pitching on Saturday against a very good offense. Like, God forbid, the Mets could have used him, could pitch him against Washington in Washington. No. Because this is how desperate the Mets are. Anytime they're bringing up somebody to pitch, like it was Sean Manaea, it was Kodai Senga before the All-Star break, right? They'll do it at home in Kansas City, on the road in Kansas City, right? They'll try to ease them in. This is how you know they're desperate. And you got to read those signs. They're doing it at home while the Mets are really struggling, where the fans are ready to boo the moment they walk in there. And they're doing it at home against a really good Seattle Mariners offense. That is how desperate they are. The Mets, you think if the Mets had a choice, they would have waited until the Mets go to Washington on Tuesday? Of course they would have. But why not? Because they're desperate. And you know what? They should be. I mean, they weren't desperate in June. They weren't just desperate 2 weeks ago because it was all about service time. And when you consider what is Stearns doing, well, he cares about the future. He don't care about what happened. He already built this team. His philosophy is, I built it, do it. Even if it's flawed. He built it, like Field of Dreams, they build it and they will come. Well, he built it and they're not winning. And that's the problem. So that's how desperate the New York Mets are. Unfortunately. And there's nobody to blame but the guys on the field, but it's also the roster construction guy, and that is David Stearns. So, unfortunately, Noah McLean has a ton of pressure against a really good offensive team, a good team in general, and it's at home, where the fan base is already pissed off. You just lost to the Seattle, the Atlanta Braves. Like, I mean, this is terrible. This is the worst type of position to put him in. Now, again, he looks like he got a good head on his shoulders. He looks like he understands the situation, which is very nice, right? He's not shying away from it, and that's a good sign, right? A lot of people, if you read the scouting reports, right, he's very poised on the mound. His demeanor on the mound is like, this is my mound. You ain't beating me. I like that mentality. But that shit changes when you hit the mound at the major league level. Major league hitters don't give a shit. You can dominate minor league guys and intimidate them. You ain't intimidating major league pitchers, especially when you first come up, right? This is not Paul Skeens here. And again, who knows, right? We don't know. But it's not like MLB Network is going away from their show to go watch Noah McLean pitch. They still do that for Paul Skeens. They still do that for Scooble. So it's not like Major League MLB Network is, hey, we know we're in the middle of a show, but guess who's pitching? Noah McLean. They ain't doing that. Right? The hype is not there around Major League Baseball. It's around Mets fans because we're desperate. Right? If everything was going right, Noah McLean, Brandon Sproat, and Jonah Tong wouldn't have been a thought this year. That's a failed job from David Stearns, in my opinion. And you know what? Yeah, I agree. Who said it? Rob, they are throwing him to the Wolves. They are. And you know what? I truly hope that we're in the live stream tomorrow on the watch party and he's dominating. That would be awesome. That would get the Mets fans at least a little bit more confident. But you know what? He will come out of the game. Reality would set in. The bullpen's going to come in, even if the Mets have a lead. So reality is going to hit the Mets fans rather quickly. Because again, I'd be shocked if he goes past 5 innings. I'd be shocked if he goes. I don't even think he's going to get to 85 pitches, to be quite honest with you. But let's say he does. Let's say he throws just under 90 pitches and 5 innings. I take that for a first start, right? You want to hopefully he's pitching well and you get him out in having a little bit of good vibes and he pitched well. Get him a nice standing ovation from the fan base because the Mets fans will give him a standing ovation if he's pitching well because they're desperate. Right? Why else would you do it? So, I don't know, man. I don't know. Complete game shutout. Good luck, Bayonet. If they do that, then them innings restrictions goes out the window. And I'll be the first one to say it. I don't believe it one bit. This organization worries way too much about the future than the present. They're not hurting this kid. This is why the problem's going to come back when it gets further and further into the season, no matter if it's McLean or Spur. If these kids pitch well, or one of them pitch well, you really think this kid's going to be a big option in the playoffs? If they throw everything out the window and they just said, kid, pitch, and worry about the innings next year. We'll worry about the innings whenever in the offseason. And maybe we can redirect our plans somewhere else in some other way, some other capacity. I don't believe that one bit. They baby Show Manaea. They baby Kodai Senga. They babied all these guys. In Noah McLean's last start, they only threw him 76 pitches. Like, if you know he's coming up, let him throw 95 pitches so he can do it when he comes into major leagues. I don't understand the logic. The logic doesn't make sense. Like, if you're concerned he's going to get hurt, then why is he up here? Don't bother. But again, it's a necessity because David Stearns failed this rotation. Guys in this rotation, Manaea was hurt, Kodai Senga was hurt, and they haven't performed. So it's on them. Clay Holmes is basically a shell of what he did in April and May. David Peterson really had a bad game. I'm not blaming him. He's been great. It happens. But the necessity, the failure to do better in this rotation, as David Stearns did not do, is the reason why we are here. So if they do let him pitch and Brandon Sproat if he does come up. But let's just talk about Noah McLean right now. If he does pitch, let it loose. Because that's the only way I'm going to feel like they're trying to win this year. Because I don't feel like they're really trying everything they can to win. To be quite honest with you. That might be sad to say. Like, I don't think Mendoza's not trying to win. I think he's trying. You could tell in his press conferences, like, he's pissed. Like, I don't know what else you guys want him to say, but the guys don't perform when he puts them out there. What is he supposed to do? Like, smack him in the mouth? Like, these are grown men. These are professional ball players. They need to do their jobs. So, I don't know, man. I really don't know. Let's check the comments. Hey, Sherry, how you doing? I think their mindset is an individual player. I don't think so. Because you know what? We weren't talking about individual players, an individual, player to get separately than as a team when they scored 13 runs against the Braves in game 1. Or when they scored when they went up to a 6-0 lead in the second game of the series against the Braves. Like, you can't only say that when they're doing bad, but when they're good, because here's what people forget. And I don't know why they forget, because they always brought it up to me when the Mets in April and May, all they were doing was winning low-scoring games and close games. They were winning 3-2. They were winning 4-2. They were winning close games. Even if they were high-scoring games, they were winning the close game. They're not doing that now. There is no difference from the beginning of the season to now. Their pitching has failed them to the point where it's so bad that the Mets are giving up leads every day in every part of the game. So this is nothing new. And the offense has been better than it's been all year. They scored 22 runs in a 3-game series. That should be more than enough. That's averaging, 6.5 runs a game? Close to 6 runs per game? That should be more than enough to win. And again, guys, we had a 6-0 lead in game 2. That lead that game should have never been lost. Yesterday, all right, it is what it is. But you got to win those close games. You had a lead from the 6th inning. The Mets gave you the lead in the bottom of the 6th. You can't blow it in the later innings. You got to hold those leads. There's been 10 games already over this stretch of games where the Mets had leads in every part of a game. And some of them were multiple run leads. And they lost those games. Like, the offense can't score 6+ runs every game. It doesn't happen. Nobody does that on a consistent basis. You got to win these low-scoring games. Yes, it's cute and it's fun when they score 12 runs, 13 runs. But that's not the norm. The norm is scoring between 4 and 6 runs per game. If you score 3 runs and you were losing 2-1 and you went up 3-2 in the 6th inning, hold the goddamn lead. We can't hold leads. We did that in April and May. They haven't done that since the end of May. We're going on 3 months now where they can't hold leads. And the offense is probably the best it looked all year, where they're putting better at-bats together. They're getting the clutch hit to go ahead in games, tying games. They're getting the clutch hit now. But they're not holding the leads. I don't know what else you want Mendoza or the offense to do. You could say, well, they should have scored 5 runs. Well, great. Well, you know what? In game 2, they should have scored 12 just to win. Like, that don't make sense. Like, look at the game. You have a 6-0 lead. You shouldn't lose it. You had a 3-2 lead. You got the right guys in the game out of the bullpen. And they still blew it. What else can Mendoza do? There's nothing to do. Except they got to perform. They got to do the job. And they haven't done it. It's unfortunate. Yeah, Frank, can you pitch? Like, if you got a nasty curveball, throw it up there, man. I tell you. And Sherry, you know what? We are bringing one of the pitchers up from the minors, right? But here's the problem. Stop talking about this kid, please. Because you're making it sound like he's the savior. And he won't be. It's not enough. It's not enough. Unless Sean Manaea and Kodai Senga consistently do what Senga did yesterday, which, again, we'll have to wait until Senga's next start to see if he actually does. Because if Senga pitched, look, he pitched good yesterday, really good yesterday. but he can't go out his next start and give you 4 innings. He has not been consistent at all. Manaea coming back. Now, the Mets are trying once again today against a really good team in the Mariners. He needs to go deep into the game. He needs to give us 6 innings. He's got to get to that 90 pitch mark. He still hasn't. The Mets have tried twice to increase his pitch count and his innings to strengthen his arm up. He failed because he was giving up too many runs, and they had to take him out of the game. So we need Manaea and Kodai Senga to be consistently good. There's no more time. We have 41 games left, including today. There is no time to wait for these guys. You got to do it. There's urgency. And I'm glad Mendoza, before the game, called out Kodai Senga. And Mendoza was like, yeah, I told him, like, hey, we need you. You got to do this. You got to be on this mound. You got to give us innings. You got to, throw 90 pitches. We can't keep going to our bullpen in the 4th inning of every game. And you know what? Senga did his job yesterday. The bullpen failed. So what are we going to do? It's up to Manaea today to pitch 6 innings. You got to strengthen up your arm. You can't get into the 5th inning and blow up again. Because when are the Mets ever going to straighten his arm out? We're going to wait until September? Manaea's got to figure it out. Manaea has disappointed me. And I'm not the biggest fan of Manaea. I've said that before, right? Even in the offseason, we talked about this yesterday on the pregame with me and Chris. I was not happy that the Mets made Manaea the guy for this rotation. It was a stupid decision. I didn't mind signing him, but you needed to sign somebody better with him. Because, again, the guy hasn't been good in like 4 years, and he changes his mechanics, figures out something that really make him pitch well. And we just assume it's just going to roll over to the next year. This guy is not 26 years old. So relying on Manaea to be the ace was silly in my opinion. Mendoza, and this is the brainwash the Mets love to give you. Mendoza yesterday on his pregame interview, he called Kodai Senga an ace. You know how hard I laughed? My chest hurt. That's how hard I laughed. Like, if I was in that media room, I probably would have laughed really loud so Mendoza can hear it. Senga's not an ace. He's not. Sorry. Maybe David Stearns brainwashed Mendoza too in that nonsense. But with everything being said, the New York Mets have a half-game lead in the wild card. I mean, we can be gone. We can be out of a wild card spot, a playoff spot by tomorrow. And I don't even want to listen to sports talk radio tomorrow. I don't even want to come on this channel tomorrow and hear you guys talk about that we're not in a playoff spot on August 16th. Because if that's the case, I don't want to be Mendoza. I don't want to be Stearns. I don't want to be these players. Because the first word out of everybody's mouth, it's a choke. I mean, again, there's more games. It's going to be 40 games after today. So, but they gotta start consistently winning here. Like, I'm not asking you to go on a 12-game winning streak. That'd be really nice. But can you win 5 of 6? Can you win this series against the Mariners? That would be nice, right? Winning a series against a team that has been red hot. You take 2 out of 3 against the Mariners, you might feel a little bit better going into the off day on Monday and head into to Washington for a series against the Nationals. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm frustrated. It's annoying. Senga is ace in the hole. No, he's in the hole. He's not the ace in the hole. He is in the hole. Because I don't trust him. I don't trust him. I just don't. Like, I just don't trust him. Like, I trust Manaea figuring it out long-term this year than Kodai Senga. I don't trust him. I don't consider a guy an ace that you have to do everything perfect for him to get on the mound. And on top of that, there's no guarantee he's going to pitch well. Again, wait until if the Mets make the playoffs and Senga's healthy, you're going to see him once in a series. That's an ace? I'm sorry, no, it's not. In a NLDS, you need to be prepared if you're the ace. And again, if he's the ace, he should be pitching game one. We all know he's not going to be pitching game one. It's going to be Manaea. I'd be shocked if the Mets throw Kodai Senga game one. I'd be shocked. And let's say they do. For one crazy reason, they throw him game one of the NLDS. Let's say the Mets get that far. Do you really think your ace should be ready to pitch game 5? Because you get enough off days in between where the 5th game is on the 5th day after he pitched. So he should be available for game 5. But he never throws on the 5th day. So there goes your ace out the window. Because if they do that, he has over a 5 ERA when he's pitched on the 5th day, on having only 4 days off. So that is not an ace. Sorry, that's not an ace. You need your ace to be relied upon when called upon. In the playoffs, you need your ace to be a guy ready 2 games in the NLDS, possibly 3 times in the NLCS in a 7-game series. Everybody else does it. Why can't the Mets? So that's why I don't trust Kodai Senga, because we're not going to see him more than once in a series, especially in a short series. We're not seeing him more than once in a wild card, obviously, and we're not going to see him more than twice or more than once in an NLCS, in NLDS, in the division series for a 5-game series. I don't trust that. That is not an ace. So this is where I think the problem is going to lie, and people are going to, again, this is the same thing what happened with Pete Alonso last year, right? I was bitching and moaning about Pete Alonso all year, that he inflated his stats for the first 2 months of the season and was terrible the rest. And Met fans finally started to agree about Pete Alonso and the problems he's had all season. And then he hits a home run and everybody forgets. So Kodai Senga can make me forget very quickly. If he does what he's supposed to do, and when the Mets need him, like pitching game 1 and 5 in the NLDS, you need to do that. If he does that, okay. No, I'm not going to say he's going to pitch bad. But he's got to be on the mound. Like, you should be available for game 1, 5, and 1, 4, and 7, or 1, 5, and 7. Probably 1, 4, and 7, considering the off days, because you got multiple off days. Like, you need to be able to come out of the bullpen like a lot of pitchers do, especially top guys who are available out of the bullpen in the game 6 and 7. Do we really think Senga's going to be able to do that? The guy can't do that. If he was able to do that, he would, let's see, do it during the season. But they know he can't do that. That's why they protect him at every opportunity to give him an extra day, because they know he can't do that. So we got to wait until the playoffs to see it. And again, I don't know what you're going to get from him. But we have to get to there. We have to get there first. So we got Manaea on the mound today against Luis Castillo. Castillo has been really good. All the Met fans who didn't want him, because, you only care about what the numbers say and not realize that he's actually a really good pitcher. He would be our best pitcher in our rotation, by the way. And you know what? He'll probably throw 6 innings because, normal rotations actually have multiple guys that go 6 innings on a regular basis, unlike the Mets. So Manaea, Castillo, interesting lineup today. We got Vientos DHing. He made an appearance, guys. He's on a team still. No Beatty. Go figure. You got Mauricio at third base. You got Vientos DHing and the same cast of characters everywhere else. You got Lindor, Soto, Nemo, Alonso, 1, 2, 3, 4. You got McNeil and Vientos and Mullins and Mauricio and Alvarez. Get the job done. I don't know how they're going to win. Get the job done. Can Sean Manaea get to a 6th inning? Can he throw 90 pitches? Can he not blow up in the middle of the game like he has the last 2 starts? That would be nice. Right? Remember when we talked about there's no more excuses? Yet, too many people are making excuses. Stop with the excuses. They got to step up. Sean Manaea was an ace last year. He was Cy Young caliber last year. show it again. Or wait, or maybe you're just not that good. How about that? I know people don't like to hear it, but let's be honest. He's been more bad over the last 4 or 5 years than good. So do it, right? You got paid $20 million. You got paid like a really good pitcher. Be a really good pitcher, right? You're far enough away from coming back from injury where you shouldn't be coming out of games in the 4th and 5th inning. You got to go deeper into games. They're going to talk about it on the broadcast again. Do your job, Sean Manaea. Do your job, lineup. Do your job, Mendoza. And David Stearns, enjoy Japan. Because he's already worrying about next year. So with that said, guys, thank you for tuning in to the Amazing Mets pregame show right here on the channel and on X. I won't be doing a postgame, but I do believe Chris and Zach are doing a postgame later today. So make sure you tune into them on the channel and on X. So guys, enjoy the game. I hope we're talking about I hope you're talking about a Mets win with Chris, because if not, those guys are gonna have a rough day, rough night. Have a good night, guys. Let's go Mets, and I'll see you tomorrow, guys, on the Amazing Mets pregame show. Have a good night, guys. Enjoy the game.
Seven train rumble, headed to the field. Orange and blue vibes, the energy revealed. Brooklyn to Queens.